Hey, what's going on, all you animals out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with another review of IDW Sonic the Hedgehog. It's issue 34 of Chao Races and Badnik Bases Part 2. Now, we have our crew of Rouge, Amy, Cream and Cheese, as well as General, trying to get some parts in order to repair Omega. So they've entered Cheese into a series of Chow races in order to win the prize and hopefully get those parts from the evil Clutch, who has an obsession with collecting. Let's jump in. Oh yeah, Shadow's here as well. um, but the next day, after Rouge went to go see Clutch and talk him up a little bit, Amy and Cream are kind of questioning where she might have gone up to. But she shows up having a bit of a plan, but she doesn't really fill Amy or Cream in on it. Meanwhile, Shadow had an encounter with a mysterious adversary who whooped him bad. But he managed to rip off a note, which was namely Clutch the Possum. I thought he was a rat originally, like a pack rat, but no, he's a possum. How about that? But he managed to get the address of Clutch, so Shadow ends up heading that way to find out about his mysterious attacker. So, while the Chao races are raging on, Shadow makes his way into Clutch's private room, finding no resistance whatsoever. But he does find something that unnerves him a bit before he happens upon none other than Omega. So, as the final Chow race begins, and Cheese has a little bit of an issue with a dark Chow who eyeballs him here and there, but over the course of the race, Cheese is able to get to the finish line, winning the whole kit and caboodle, with Clutch being none too happy with his personal dark Chow. Meanwhile, Rouge tries to go along with her original plan of pretending to give Cheese over to Clutch. But, General and Amy know that something is up. Ultimately, Rouge has no choice but to reveal her plan to the rest of the gang, who are all in on the idea. So, as they go about meeting Clutch to do the exchange for Cheese, Rouge ends up giving the signal, but instead of whatever Omega was going to do just being ahead, in comes Shadow, kicking Clutch right in his dirty possum face. Now we come to find out what unnerves Shadow so much was the realization that he's keeping all of his Chow who lose races in cages. That's why the Dark Chow was so desperate to win the race as not to be locked away. So Shadow leaves the girls and General and with Omega, and he pieces out. He has his own thing to do. General sets about getting the Chow out of there at Cream's request. Meanwhile, Rouge is making a phone call, which Amy questions, and while she says she's contacting Tails to help sort out through the parts and maybe find something for Omega, it's obvious she has something else in mind. Meanwhile, back at the Eggman base, Sonic's getting a little stir crazy, but Tails is a little busy trying to bypass Eggman's firewalls as not to set off an alarm. So Sonic ends up kicking some Badnik parts, only for this puppet like robot to be revealed. So immediately Sonic feels like he's found a good time in bashing a badnik. But as he goes after the robotic wooden girl, she managed to aptly dodge all of Sonic's swings. Now, it's pretty obvious that Sonic isn't giving it his all, but when Sonic steps on her tail, she reels back with her hind legs, just smacking into him. So, that's a bit of a question in her functionality. But ultimately, Tails kind of pushes this aside and she's like, look, dude, it's pretty obvious she's not one of Eggman's. Like, she is very much trying not to fight you. And Sonic kind of picked up on this. I'm pretty sure that's why he didn't go full force. Because he picked up on the fact that she didn't seem to really have her heart in the fight. Ultimately, they just simply ask her a name because at this point they've had enough Eggman robots and robots in general who ended up being allies. So it's just like, okay, cool. So she's not overly volatile, so they ask her a name. She says Belle. Tails is very interested in the craftsmanship behind her body as it is very wooden, you know, and has, you know, it's interesting how she functions. So they question who was her creator, but she outright says it wasn't Eggman. And my thought immediately is it's not technically Eggman. My thought is that it was actually Eggman when he was the Tinkerer. He created this robotic wooden girl because that was what the Tinkerer did. He made things that were more fun, reinvented things. The Eggman side of him was there deep down, but it wasn't to a volatile degree. And with a character like this and how, she doesn't want to outright name her creator, which, tips you off. I think it was Eggman when he was the Tinkerer. However, this is interrupted when an alarm goes off because his program ended up being caught by Eggman's firewalls, setting off the alarm, alerting the security forces that there's an intruder in the base. So all these badniks come rushing in. Badniks that easily explode when touched. So when Belle ends up, saving Tails from being captured by one of Eggman's robots, one of which I think is one of the ones from Sonic Heroes that would capture one of your teammates and hold them in stasis, Tails ends up saving Belle, who saved him. So, getting a little bit of that camaraderie between them. But ultimately, they're surrounded by all these volatile forces, so they'll have to team up in order to get out of this base alive, thus ending the issue. An interesting mystery as to who Belle is. I very much believe it was Eggman when he was the Tinkerer, because for her not to reveal it from the onset means that they want to set up a mystery. And I think it would be interesting to have a conflict of, here is this creation of Eggman's who technically wasn't a creation of Eggman as Eggman. It's this interesting dichotomy, if nothing else. And I want to see how this plays out for the most part. Because again, it's not like the rest of the crew haven't teamed up with Eggman robots. Like half of this story is literally in an effort to restore Omega, an Eggman robot. So maybe she's feels sickened at the thought that ultimately she is an Eggman robot, but not technically an Eggman robot. I'm interested to see where this goes, but tell me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Do you think that she might be a product of when Eggman was the Tinkerer, or do you think it was somebody else in general? And how does she function, considering that she is mostly just made of wood? Is there any robotic parts at all behind her? And not to mention, robots that explode and catch on fire and all that with a wooden robot? I don't know about this. But she's very Geno-esque from the Super Mario RPG, that puppet-like robot. So I wonder if she'll function like that as well. I think it was Evan Stanley who created this character, as she's also writing and illustrating this story. So I think I remember her saying that she was making that reference with this character, but I'll have to double check on that. But again, thoughts, feelings, theories, emotions in the comment section below. Did you like this issue? Did you dislike this issue? Give me the whys in the comments below. And if you like this review, leave it a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave it a dislike. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you never miss out on another Sonic the Hedgehog by IDW issue review. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.